All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about language. I did a mastermind group, and I'm hoping the individuals in my group are on this, but we did a mastermind training on, well, it wasn't really a training. We had a coaching moment where it was language that was the issue. It wasn't anything else. It was just purely language. And I saw like, oh my gosh, like it's been actually over a year. I document how often I do these trainings, and it's been over a year since I've done this training. I thought, oh my gosh, we definitely get to bring this up to set you up in your guys' listening. Language is everything, and as you listen, it will be through the art of language that you hear it. And as you speak and create your universe and your world and all the things you're up to, it all happens in language also. So language is so crucial. The pain points in your life, you know how you're going to fix it? Language. The things you want more of in your life, guess how you're going to get that? Language. And it all happens there first. And so I'm setting you up today inside of this training to look for, how do I upgrade my language? How do I pull language so that it's something that's a tool for me to increase my level of power in whatever area of your life that matters, okay? And we're gonna be doing some examples that I want you guys to play along, have something to write with, to kind of do this exercise with me. So let's start with this. So language in and of itself is a miracle, right? Like just the fact, yep.
The screen isn't for some reason showing.
Oh, it's not. Let me stop share and reshare. Or what if I do this?
That's better.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's like it clicks over for some reason. Anyways, you guys didn't miss anything. Just the first slide. So language is the miracle, guys. And when you look at language, it's easy to take for granted the power and creation that comes from it. Like it's easy to just do your normal things, say whatever you normally say, react through language, and you just kind of take it for granted, like that we understand each other, that we're able to, like, you know, go take out the trash, and then so and so goes and takes out the trash. Like the fact that language creates that is really a miracle. And language shows up in hundreds of different languages, maybe even thousands. You know, I'd be interested to know the actual stat on that. But it's like there's language inside of multiple language, like languages, meaning like, you know, there's Spanish, or if you're from different parts of the country, there are different dialects, right? And language in and of itself reflects a inner attitude. Like the way you use language reflects the attitude towards something, or even it reveals certain beliefs. I can listen to someone for about 10 minutes and I can get their world, like really get their world. I can get how powerful they are. I can get how well they attract the things that they want in their life. And it's all inside of language. It projects power or it projects force. It's attractive or it repels, right? It is the means to all creation. Everything that you want, everything you're trying to make, everything you're trying to earn or have more of, if you're a student and you're trying to make more money, if you're a coach and you're trying to help your students or do better in your trading, it all happens first in language. And it is and always will be in the beginning. And we've heard this reference in spiritual texts as well, that in the beginning was the Word, and it was the Word that started all creation. It was language that from language the universe came from, and your universe and all things that are in it came from the Word, your specific language. And so language is defined as a method of human communication, either spoken or written, consisting of the use of words in a structured or, you know, a construct and conventional way. So it's just this, we string these words together in a certain structure, a certain conventional way, and it's a form of communication. Are there other forms of communication outside of language? Absolutely. But the verbal form of language is one of the most powerful ways that we create. And it is not something the other animals or kingdoms, animal kingdoms have access to, or even life forces use to communicate. There are, and we found in certain species like dolphins and certain actually like plants, like there are forms of communication that happen that even humans don't have access to, but it's not language. And you can see the difference. You can see the impact on the planet. Like, what impact does a tree have on the planet to like change things and make things look different versus a human? It's like radically, right? And I'm not saying for good or bad either, but humans through the mechanism of language as a form of communication have way more power than a plant, way more power than a tree, way more power than some squirrel. And so it is also not the only way that we communicate, as we talked about. There's like eye language, there's like nonverbal communication, there's body language. There's many ways that humans communicate. Language just happens to be one of the largest. So your choice of words can make the difference between someone accepting or denying your message. And this was a quote from Muhammad Qutani. You can have a very beautiful thing to say, but say it the wrong way, or say it in the wrong words, and it's gone. So you can have a very beautiful thing to say, but say it in the wrong words, and it's gone. And so language is crucial. We can't just take it for granted anymore. We can't just allow words to just come out of our mouth unconsciously and expect different results in our life. And forceful language is one of those types of language that keep us from having more. And I was in this mastermind group, and one of the participants brought this up, like some language contrast, and it reminded me of this training, and this is why we're doing this today. But what I would point to is the language we use either comes from a place of power or a place of force. And there are some very key words that you can identify, that you can just know if you're using this type of language, you're coming from a place of force. I'm not saying it's not going to create, I'm not saying it's not going to work. I'm not saying that people aren't going to get the communication. All I'm saying is that where you're coming from is a place of force, and there's an upgrade to magnify the level of power you have to attract the things you want, or to even be attractive. And here's some of those key words. And I would, if you really want to work on this, I would like write this down, stick it on a note somewhere. If you're doing your calls during the day, just like have this somewhere so you are focused on not using these words. One is I have to. You don't have to do anything, right? Like, really. You don't have to. Or I must. They're synonyms, I would say. Or I should. Or I need to. You don't need to do anything, right? It's like, no, there's no outside force that's causing you to do these things. But when you have the belief that there's something outside of yourself making you do something, you're going to use language like this, and it's not attractive. But creates lies between things. I can't, or the word hard, and there's lots of synonyms of the word hard also. So when we look at language, and let me go back to that because I want to give you guys a second to write this down. So to go over it again, I have to, I must, I should, I need to, but I can't, or hard. So when you look at language, you will begin to see the level of power you specifically have with your existing language. So just as we're talking about this, you can probably see that you have a problem with language. You have a level of language that you're operating at that could use a radical upgrade. And it's almost like a size of a rock that you threw into a lake. The bigger the rock, like the better the language, the more upgraded the language, the bigger the splash. And well, language is the same. The more upgraded your language is, the larger the splash. And what I mean by that is in every area. You ever see those people that it's like, for some reason, that person people are attracted to? They want to follow them. They want to do the things they're doing. They want to accomplish the things they're accomplishing. Well, what type of language is that person using? Forceful or powerful language? And I'm telling you, it's language that creates the attraction. A lot of people think it's like, oh, well, I was born a certain way, and so that's why people don't follow me. Or, oh, the reason I don't have a lot of power in my life to make a difference is because, the way I look, or something like that. And where looks do send out a level of communication, language is way more powerful, way more. So I want to give you some examples. Let's say you're a marketer, or you're doing something in some type of business, and you say some statement like this, like, I would do more marketing, but I just don't have the money. It's like, I would do more marketing, but I can't. I don't have money to invest in marketing. And if you've done marketing before, a lot of you would probably relate to this. Like, well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But I want to help you dissect this, because if you operate using this type of language, you're not going to be able to attract the things that you're wanting. This is what I call limiting language, and it exists inside of a limiting belief. It will damn, like literally damn, any progress that you will have in your marketing if how you're operating is using language around your marketing like this. It immediately damns any progress. The level of power behind this language is simply small. It's just you're playing small. The words coming out of your mouth are coming from a small self, not a large, powerful self. Just by changing the language, we create more power, and more velocity by increasing possibilities. Just by changing language, it actually has us evaluate our beliefs. It has us upgrade our beliefs. It has us become more attractive to the world outside of us. Things start showing up easier. We start getting more yeses to our requests. We start getting more maybe clients that we're looking for, or more possibilities of how to solve my marketing problem. Now, I want you to do this with me, because until you do this with me with something that's real for you, you won't have the breakthrough. So I want you to find a belief that you have that you are sure is tied to some other thing. You've got this belief, and it's like, maybe it's around your marketing. Maybe it's around one of your students, coaches. Like, as a coach, you've got some student out there that's like, man, if only they would do this different, then it would show up differently. Or, my students would be more successful at trading, but fill in the blank, right? Just find something that something that you want, and find the reason why you're not doing it. Find the reason that's keeping you from having it and moving forward on it right now. You want to find that statement, okay? And you want to structure your sentence something like this. So I would do blank, but it's like, I would be living on a beachfront, but fill in the blank. Or I would go on a vacation this year, but, or you might say, I would have more time if, I didn't have this job, or I would have more marketing time if I, didn't have to do this thing. Just find your statement, just one. You have hundreds probably, but find the one that kind of shows up the most and write it out. And I'm going to give you guys 60 seconds to kind of go through this and write this out. And while you guys are doing this, this is really powerful stuff, because you're going to have an ear for this following this training. In fact, if it's inside of our group, I would even have you have an ear so you can coach others when you hear language like this. Because we're up to big things here. Like, we're out to make a difference in the world. And limiting language, unpowerful language, is not going to get us where we want to go. And so do it for yourself so you know how to identify it. And then I want you to have an ear for it later in life, especially with our group, especially with the people that are in our group making a difference. All right, does everyone have it? So just find your statement. I would do this, but, or I'd have this, and just find an easy one. It could be in a relationship. You have to do with something you want. It's like, I would have a new house. Or I'd have this upgraded car. I'd finally get the truck that I wanted, or, whatever it is, and then fill in the blank. All right, so find an example for you, write it down. In a minute, I'm going to show you how to coach others around this. So I want you to be sure you pay attention, because you can't, guys, your access to being powerful is to give this type of coaching to others. But first, you've got to take the coaching. You've got to try this on. So play all out right now. Like, write it down, find something that works for you, because in doing the example, and as we go through this, I'm going to teach you how to use this on other people, how to use helping people get more powerful in their language in your life. Because if you're running teams, if you're working with other individuals, coaches, like all of you fit into this box. CODs, if you have like sales guys or reps or people that are helping your business, you fit into this box. It's like you get to learn how to coach others inside of their language, because it's often that's the thing that's keeping them from getting what they want. So read your statement and then repeat it. Read your statement, get really clear, and then repeat it. And I want you just to look at what level of power do you have around solving or creating possibilities with your existing statement. Like, after you wrote it out and you said it the way you said it, just kind of sit with it and go, like, what possibilities am I seeing to solve this problem? What am I seeing based on my statement? And this statement is true to me. Like, what can I do to create or solve my problem? And you'll find you're stuck. You'll find that the damnation around getting what you want just got created inside of language. It just like came right out of your mouth or got created in your head, and boom, there you are, stuck. No possibilities, no ways to solve this, because you're seeing things in absolutes. You're seeing things tied to each other that actually are not. And so here's what I want you to do. What word in your statement creates this problem? And we kind of already tipped it off early with some of those forceful words, but what word in the statement creates the problem that the first part is, as a fact, tied to the second? So you kind of go back and you look at your statement, and it's like, okay, I would do blank, but, or if, fill in the blank. It's but, right? It's but or if. It's one or the other. And it's not always like but or if in every example, but in this idea where we attach one thing to the other thing, it's the but or the if. And so where's the word that creates the lie? Exactly. It's but or if. This is the lie. It is the part of your language that has you disconnected with the truth. Because what is the truth? I want you to rewrite your statement, because this is truer. I'm not saying it's the absolute, but this is a way to get truer around your language that opens up possibilities. It opens up the creative door. And if we're just opening, all we're doing is we're hacking your access to possibilities by just changing your language. So I want you to replace the but or the if with the word and. I want you to rewrite the whole thing. Don't just cross it out and write and. I want you to rewrite the whole statement. Like, I would be on the beach next week, but, and just put and instead. And I don't have enough money. And I'm really busy. And I've got this other commitment, whatever it is. I would do more marketing, for example. And instead of but, I just don't have enough money. I would do enough marketing, but I just don't have enough money. It's like we've tied two things together that just are separate. Like, you having, I want you to see it this way. Your first statement, you having more marketing or more money or being on the beach or having the car or whatever the thing is, that is a task in and of itself, right? That's a thing to go out and do and create all by itself. But when you tie it to something else, you've just taken a world of possibilities and crammed it into a tiny box. Because what does you having more marketing have anything to do with more money? Well, it has to do with one thing. If I had some money to spend on marketing, then I could have some more marketing. But in a world of infinite possibilities, infinite, you're saying, because of your statement, you cannot do marketing because you don't have money. And I want you to look at that statement and ask, is that actually true? Is it true that you can't do marketing without money? or without it being your money, or without it being other people's money, or without maybe doing a profit share, or just going out knocking doors, or doing things that completely don't involve money at all, or referral programs, or rep program, or whatever, right? You can see that you put yourself in this little box, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, I guess I don't have to do anything because I don't have the money. Don't have the money, so I don't have to do the marketing. I stay exactly where I'm at. I want to change. I want to have these things happen in my life that are different. But you know what? I'm just going to hit the play button on the insanity record, and over and over and over, repeat, recycle, repeat, recycle. So I want you to see, when you replace this with "and," what now is possible when you can separate these statements because they live by themselves. What becomes possible? It's like, oh, well, I've got this thing called, I'm going to do marketing, and I'll go do some marketing that doesn't require money. But then I have this other thing I want to fix called, I don't have money. And it's like, oh, well, what could I do to fix that? And now you have a world of possibilities to create more marketing and create more money. And they're just not connected. And when you can start to disconnect things like this, especially in your language, you'll start taking action to solve them. So now becoming a master of your own language is key to coaching others. And this is where we're going with this, because if you're seeing a breakthrough, even for yourself around this, if you're like, oh my gosh, I really see this, and I see how like I do this with so many things in my life. No wonder I'm not attracting the things I want in my life very quickly. No wonder the things that I want are taking forever, right? Like, it's just, this is a velocity thing, guys. This is a power conversation. How do I have more power to increase the velocity or the speed at which these things start coming to me? And so one of the things I found that helps me the most in coaching myself is, one, getting the concept and then coaching others around it. Share the message. Share this with people, guys. The way you're going to get access to this the fastest is you start sharing it with the people that matter most to you. And that could be your family, definitely your team, anyone that you're working with. You're going to be hunting for this now. You're going to be a master of language so that you can coach others how to do it, so that they start becoming magnets, so that their level of power starts going through the roof, because now, I mean, they're on your team. Wouldn't you want that? So it's vital. This is a vital component to your power when correlating limiting language in others. The promise, or the thing I can guarantee you'll see associated with the skill, is if you can become a student of language, you will master shaping and creating the world you want. That's the promise. That's the guarantee. You become a master of language, and the things you want will just start coming faster. The things you're trying to attract towards yourself will start coming with a greater velocity. It's almost like you become an author of it all. It's almost like if there was a book you were writing on how it was going to happen next, that you were actually the author of that. And you were saying, like, this is how my life is going to go. And then it just goes that way. Why? Because you said it. So the first rule around coaching others is always to ask for permission. So if you can hear this and you're like, oh my gosh, I am surrounded with people with limited, forceful, powerless language, and you're wanting to upgrade them because you're wanting to upgrade yourself, right? The first rule around coaching others is always to ask for permission. And you might say something like this: do you mind if I offer you some coaching around helping you get what you want? Or, hey, so-and-so, are you looking for coaching around this? Like, do you mind if I give you some feedback? But you want to make sure you get permission first. This step is not necessary if you are the coach. So like, if you're working with someone or you've got a leader and like that's their job and you know the call is for coaching, you don't have to do this, right? But if you're not, you want to make sure to set this up with that person. And to be clear, I've not found assuming this ever works. Don't ever assume because you're the expert or you're really good at this that you can just jump on people and start coaching them. You want to ask first. And I will share the one place that people assume they have this role that they don't is with their significant others. Don't do this with your close friends. Don't do this with your significant others, assuming you have the role. In fact, I would even say don't do it with your significant others at all, at all, at all. It's not your job. It's not your job to be their coach. It's not their job. It's not your job to coach them, even if you get permission. I just have not found good examples or experience with that. And I have talked with many other coaches that do and deal with this all the time. I have found it's kind of a boundary you just set up. It's like, let them get their coaching from someone else. After, after they have given you permission to coach them and you hear but or if, it's like, what do? Well, one, you want to have them repeat what they said. So if you're finding that this language isn't powerful, just have them repeat it, because what just came out of their mouth and what often comes out of your mouth is just a reaction. It's programmed. You're not even conscious often to the words coming out of your mouth. Ask them, what is it like to believe it's true? So when you believed that your marketing, you couldn't do more marketing because you didn't have money, when you believed that that was true, what was that like? What's it like to be dealing with your marketing right now? Because they believe it's true. And it's like, well, I'm not getting marketing. Oh, what's that like? Well, I'm not making money. Oh, well, what's that like? Well, it's hard to make my bills. It's very stressful. It's like, okay, got it. You seeing the pain behind this? The results of your language and the belief behind your language is causing this. And so third, you want to ask them to replace it. Like, hey, I want to coach you to see if we can create some possibilities here. That's all I'm looking for, is to just kind of drive a wedge into your belief to just open things up. So try replacing but and if with and then ask them to share what's possible. Like, are you seeing that there's something separate here? Are you seeing that there's a possibility that may have opened up? Are you seeing that maybe there's something you could do with just your marketing that has nothing to do with money? Are you seeing there's something you could do to increase and work on your money situation that has nothing to do with marketing? You see that? It's like, how do we address these things separately, because they are, and stop connecting them with a lie so that we do nothing? Oh, skipped ahead on that one. And fifth, you want to be patient. You don't want to give them the answer right away. Often discovering the breakthrough is the biggest piece. So many times things occur like we have no choice. We believe we are slaves and are not free. Like, we really do. We just believe that. And this shows up in the language of haves and shoulds. Like, I have to, or I should. Like there's this force outside of ourselves that's making us do it. I have to make 4 sales this week. And it's like, when we use language like have or should, it ties the power to something outside of ourselves. Like, we're not the ones responsible for making the sales, or we're not the ones responsible for improving our trade results, or we're not the one responsible for having the life that we've always wanted. It's something outside of ourselves. And when you have a stance like that, guys, what do we call people like this? Well, what's the synonym, or excuse me, the antonym of responsible? It's victim. We're victims of circumstance, right? And I'm not saying that there aren't things that happen to us that we can't control. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is there is an inner attitude, an inner position that says I'm responsible for my life, and it doesn't use forceful language. It doesn't use shoulds and haves, because it knows it's responsible. It knows there's nothing outside of itself that's causing this one to act. So as if someone there is a force greater than you causing you to act without your freedom to do so. Like, there's a person or a thing or some glue, some stickiness around the belief. When you say something like this, it's really simple, guys. It's the word to replace it with is get. When you use the word should or have, the word to replace this, the powerful upgrade, is get. And I can't think of a time I felt inspired when someone's used the word have or should. It's like, oh, I have to go to work today. And it's just like, ugh. Or it's like, oh, well, I should do this. It's like, ugh. It's like you just get to. It's not inspiring if it's coming from a place of have or should. It's coming from a place of force then. It's like they are pretending they are a slave or a victim. Here's what you sound like subconsciously when you use language like this. I want you to hear it, so like, at least if you say things around me this way, you can know this is how I'm hearing it. I am a slave to my job, to my bills, to my wife, to my house, and all these things control my actions. That's how you sound when you use words like have and should. It's like, I have to go out. I have to go to work. Why? Because I got to pay the bills. Oh, I have to go take my kids to school. Why? Because, my wife will get mad at me if I don't. Or I have to pay my electric bill. Why? Because my house controls my, and it's just like, blah, like, guys, not powerful, very forceful, not inspiring. And people that talk like this, are you attracted to them? Are you like, woo, I want to go do what they're up to. I want to like be more like that. I really feel like they got their life together. No. And now you know why. It's because their language isn't powerful. They're acting out of a place of victimhood, a place of irresponsibility. So let's replace it. I get to make 4 sales this week. Of course you do, right? I choose a house. I choose my wife and kids. Why? Because it's like, I get to do this. This is what I chose. You get to do what you want when you want to do it, period. You always have been. That's the crazy part, is this forceful language isn't the truth. This shifts the power dramatically, and others will gravitate towards it, guys, if you can start to upgrade your language this way. Your language shapes those around you also. If you're using forceful language, guess what you're teaching your kids? Guess what you're teaching your team? Guess what you're teaching your student? You're teaching them to operate out of a power of force, a place of force, rather than a place of power. And it's like you're setting them up for failure. People either want more or less of what you have, period. They see you and they want more or less of it. And if you are operating from a place of freedom, they're going to gravitate towards it. They're going to be like, I don't know what's up with that guy, but I want more of that, right? And so now when working with others, when I hear the words have or should, there's an opportunity to coach. First, you got to ask for permission, right? Then you ask them to repeat what they said. And then you just do this really simple thing. You got the permission, they repeat it, and you just go, do you really have to? Or I might ask something like, really, should you? And it just interrupts the force. It interrupts the stickiness in our reactive language, the stuff that we're totally unconscious to. And when you live like this is true, what force is controlling your behavior? I might ask if they can't figure it out. Like, when you should or have to, what's the thing that's forcing you? What's the belief of the thing that you think is forcing you to do it? And is it actually true? What is causing you to have or should? Now, after they share, I then offer typically a solution. I just have them to rephrase. I just say, look, let's rephrase this. The word is get, right? Then ask them to see what's different. Who are you being when you had to versus get to? Who were you being? What was your inner position? And there's this magical moment when you can tell that someone is having a moment of transformation. They will see something they have never considered. It's almost like some weight has lifted. In fact, you might even feel that just being on this training, like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling a little lighter around my experience of this like lie that I was telling myself. And these moments are crucial to drive the shift home. It's like, don't let off the gas. I like to ask this when people are having a breakthrough, when people are like seeing their life different and what could be different for themselves. Is this the only time you've used language like that? Or if you're coaching them on the other thing, the but if thing, it's like, hey, when you've used language like this, what's life been like? Like, how's life been treating you as like, this is the way you approach it with this kind of language? What type of results are you getting? What are you seeing could be possible if if you began to change how you talked about things? So it's like, we're driving this home, right? We're putting fuel on the fire here. What are you starting to see as possible for you in your life? And I want you to be in the seat of the person being coached right now. Like, for you, how has life been for you? Like, what has life been like with the type of language you've been using? And knowing that your language is the access, what are you seeing as possible for yourself? What are you seeing that's possible for your life? What could you have? What difference could you make? When people finally get that they are powerful and then they are the creators of their reality, it unlocks everything, guys, all possibilities. In a way, you've offered them heaven. They've what they had was damnation, right? They had literally cut the water from coming down. They had damned all progress, all possibilities, all bridles came way up. No way to create, no way to change their future. And when you give people this, you have given them probably one of the greatest gifts you can give anyone, and that's access to heaven. You've saved them from the bonds and damnation of their limited thinking. So to wrap things up, guys, ultimately you are responsible. It is a requirement first that you be the master, right? Number one, you get language and you get clear on it. Two, once you've done that, then you can give it to others. You must be willing, though, to examine your language every time it comes out. Like, just take some time to listen to yourself. And when those key words come out that are forceful, you take a step back and you go, hey, actually, what I meant was and. What I meant was I get to. You hear it? So stop yourself in these conversations. You created the learned, or you created and learned and used the language that has been keeping you stuck. It was you. You created it, you learned it, you used it. Now you get to learn a new language. And this language will set you free, guys. You get to begin today. Regardless of if you have this training or you kind of already know this, you get to start again today and say, I'm upgrading my language. I'm taking whatever level of force I'm using my language and I'm going to upgrade it to something more powerful. All right, guys. Hey, thanks so much. Thanks for being on with me. It's always my privilege, and I really do. I feel privileged to just have you as an audience, to be sharing what I've learned as I've been kind of kicking the tires around life.